Well, hi everybody. It's Fiona Hooper here again with another instalment of the Poetry of Painting. So welcome to you all. Don't be shy. Please let me know in the comments who you are, where you're from, and please feel free to ask questions or make comments. We love getting questions and comments. It's brilliant. So anyway, following on from the last couple of shows in the last weeks, I have another poet joining me this evening, Ritesh Nigam, and the painting about which we've both written poems this evening is another of my oil landscapes called Still Waters Run Deep. It's the painting up behind me, but I'll share the screen in a little bit so you can see it in a bit more detail. So welcome to my guest for this week, Ritesh. Let's just bring you in. Hi.
Hi, Namaste. Hello.
Hi. Oops, sorry, clicked on the wrong thing again there. Right, sorry, teething trouble again there. So thank you ever so much for joining me on the Poetry of Painting, Ritesh. And first of all, I'd like to give you the chance to tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into writing poetry, your story about you as a poet, really. So if you'd just like to do that, that'd be brilliant.
Thank you, Fiona, for the introduction. It's my pleasure to be here. Well, you'll be surprised that I started writing poetry in lockdown. So I did study English as a subject when I was in India, but we never studied as, we studied English as a communication tool, but not as a tool to express ourselves.
Right.
And so I used to write in Hindi, the Indian language, but never written English poetry as such, or never was introduced to, the deep thought and emotions of poetry, which I can express in English language. So I started writing poetry in lockdown just when I was penning down a few ideas, and I was just writing. I'm actually a 6-word writer. So I write stories in 6-word, and I was just trying to elaborate one of the 6-word stories. And I keep connecting my thoughts to the words. And suddenly I thought, oh, it looks like poetry.
An unexpected poet.
Exactly. So, when I wrote few lines about myself, I was writing about my website, and I said, I'm an explorer who don many hats which has got many colors. And then it kept going. I was just writing few sentences, and then I thought that there is a pattern in this thing. And then I thought it's something to do with linking your thoughts and linking to words. And that's how it became like a link poetry. So I started calling it link poetry, because all my poetry, I connect every last word to the first word of the next sentence.
Right. Wow. And your 6-word stories, Ritesh, I believe you've even got a book published.
Yeah, exactly. So that again came up. Like, I have never heard about Ernest Hemingway. Imagine. Yeah, because I've never read English as such. And when I was given a short story by Ernest Hemingway, I think it's very famous 6-word story, which said, for sale, baby shoes, never worn.
Oh, that sounds quite sad to me.
Exactly. It is sad. Yeah. And that is like, amazing of how you can say a whole story in just 6 words. And that gave me something. And that night I wrote 56-word stories. So I think it comes to me, and then I think it comes to every artist. You get into the zone. I'm sure it must be same with your painting, that one night, an idea will come to you. You'll get up and you'll start drawing it and painting it.
Yeah.
And similarly, that happens. So yeah, I will talk about the book maybe next time and read some 6-word stories to you. But I will tell you, the first 6-word story I wrote was cause of death, drowned in tears.
Oh,
So
that's
that
a
was
fun.
exactly, and that was the time when I was dealing with my mental health illness, and
Mm,
that states my thinking at that time.
mm.
And from there to now, I am on my 6 word mantra now is, within my reach are my dreams.
Excellent. That's so much more positive, isn't it? That's brilliant.
Exactly.
And has the poetry really helped with that?
6 word stories really helped me to come out. As I said, poetry is very new for me, but 6 word stories, which is again a form of expression,
Mm,
it really helped me to put my words, um, and what I'm thinking.
yeah. So it's been quite therapeutic.
Very therapeutic, in fact.
Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent. Oh, that's so interesting. That's, the idea of a 6 word story is quite like, oh, how can I condense it to 6 words? But
Yeah.
yeah, from what you've said, it's fascinating. So I'd like to know more about that another time if we can. That'd be
Yeah,
brilliant.
definitely. I would
Um,
love to.
so for tonight, we've both written poems, and the painting on which they're based is the one that's up here behind me, and I can show that on the screen as well. So let's bring that in. And it's called Still Waters Run Deep. And it takes its inspiration from my travels actually in the American Rockies, a part of the world that I absolutely love. The mountains and the scenery, they're so magnificent and spectacular. And I've got very many happy memories of vacations there, some of them for skiing and some in the summer season. So, seeing them in their different guises. I love going to wild places like this in the painting, with just the peace and the quiet, just the sounds of nature breaking the silence. And for me, a bit like with your writing, Ritesh, it's a fantastic way for me to recharge my mental batteries and unwind from normal daily life. And that's what I aim for in my paintings as well, is a sense of tranquility, a way to help people relax and chill out and basically lose themselves in the scene for a little while. So if I can do that, I'm very pleased. So
No,
anyway,
that's I could resonate when I was looking at the painting, and not just one of this painting, the other of your paintings. I could see how deeply your thoughts are, going into it. The only question which I have: do you make those paintings there only, or do you remember and come back and home and do it?
I do like to paint on the spot when I can, but taking large canvases to the Rockies and back on planes is not convenient. So in that case, I'll work from sketches and photographs, and having sat there absorbing the scenery and the feelings, it's not just the actual view, but it's the sounds, the smells, the
True.
whole, a breeze blowing on my face. It's the whole atmosphere of being there, which I'm trying to convey in the painting. So hopefully it's working. So, but you'd not heard me talk about that painting before, Ritesh, at all, I think. So
Oh,
it'll be really interesting for me to see what emotions it evoked in you for your poem. So would you like to go ahead and read that for us now?
yeah, definitely. So, being a storyteller, I always like to know the backstory of someone. If I'm looking at something, I would like to know what happened before.
Mm,
What's the flashback? Even in movies, whenever the flashback comes, I'm saying, "Ooh, wow!" I love those things. So, and that's when I started writing about a poem for the scenery. I was
mm,
thinking about, we got the and the title itself is so good. The still waters run deep. That itself is poetic.
mm.
So congratulations to you to think of a title which itself sets the tone, basically.
Thank you.
So I was thinking, but then for me, I was like looking where this water came from. And whenever you come from somewhere, you always carry tales, journeys, emotions. So here it is, as I think. After a rough, rocky journey, here it rests. Rest upon this serene, tranquil scenery. Scenery manned by short green trees. Trees whose shortness seems deliberate. Deliberate to remain close enough to listen to it. It, the youthful water that made the journey. If If the waters could speak out loudly, boldly, boldly, it would tell of its adventures and troubles. Troubles only known and acknowledged by the old lake. Lake that lies beneath the snowy Alps, silently and still. Still, it holds secrets of that adventurous journey. Journey now almost forgotten and buried deep, deep and light years away from a still, calm surface.
Wow. That is fascinating in that we've both, I'll read mine in a minute, but we've both actually written about the journey of the water and how it's got to where it is now. So that's amazing that we've both, from my point of view, I was there, but from your point of view, that just is so thrilling for me that you've seen in that what I felt, which is brilliant. Thank you.
Welcome.
I'll read mine and then we can have a bit of a discussion about that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. I've gone back to a slight rhyming format for my poem this week.
Okay.
Last week it was non-rhyming. So still waters run deep. It rises high in the lofty mountains, barely a trickle in its many tributaries, joining forces as they follow gravity's pull, like the landscape's meshed capillaries. This myriad of diminutive streams, meeting, merging, growing in strength, tumbling freely down rough, steep slopes, starting the journey of the river's length. Slowing, calming as the gradient eases, clear cold water gliding deep and dark, nurturing the abundant life around it, sculpting its banks, leaving its mark. Where wild beasts roam and eagles soar, from steep mountain to wide open space, always moving inexorably down its valley, flowing with inevitability and grace. Drifting lazily now with silent mystery, its surface smooth, glassy as it feigns sleep. Currents melding in its hidden depths, the power is there, still waters run deep. So that was my one, which is amazingly quite similar in many ways to your poem.
Exactly. I think that's the emotions, connecting through, the words connecting or linking, I should say, because I'm a link poet, through a same scenery. And I love the word, because you are a painter, the word using sculpting and the glossy surface. I couldn't see that because obviously I'm looking at a different angle, and you using those words, which resonates with what you do. So it's amazing. For me, when I was writing, I was thinking about, for me, this is like, when you say you have a settled life. So this is an older version of that water, which was youthful, having a journey, having an amazing time and lots of secrets. And
Yeah.
now you see, an old settled phase of that water,
Mm.
but deep there is still, those memories are still there.
Yeah. If you could sort of take some of that water and somehow play it like a video, which I know is not possible, but if you could somehow do that to see its memories from where
Yeah,
it started, right from maybe from the ocean and then the evaporation and clouds, the rainfall, maybe or falling as snow in the mountains, presumably, and being caught up on there, and then the spring melt and just the whole journey of it.
it
That
is
would
amazing.
be fantastic if we could play a film of the water from somehow picking it up from the water itself. It would be
Yeah.
its whole story and the life that it's seen around it, the different vegetation, the animals, different animals drinking from its banks. Yeah, it'd be quite something,
No,
wouldn't it, if you could
it,
do that?
it really, that's an amazing thought. In fact, they do say that water does have a memory.
Mm. Well, that's
And,
like homeopathy, isn't it? And Bach
yeah,
flower remedies, it's so dilute that there's basically nothing there, but they say it has that memory, don't they, somehow?
exactly.
So,
Yeah, I think we
yeah.
are probably, some 100 years away from that theory to come into practical when the water can hold memory. And
Mm.
that would be amazing to see.
Well, I mean, we look at computers now and how
Yeah,
fast they've come on, and nobody, 100 years ago would have believed that, well, even, a phone, that
no,
what you could do on this phone when computers first started would have taken the space of, massive room to
yeah.
do what we
They
can
will,
now on a
yeah,
phone.
probably they will call it witchcraft.
Yeah, yeah, be burnt at the stake for witchcraft, for having a computer. Scary thought, scary.
I
But
know.
the changing pace of technology and everything, and all the social media and everything now, I think, although it makes life easier in many ways, I think it's actually added a lot of pressure to people's lives, trying to keep up with everything and trying to do everything and feeling like, oh, they've got to look at Facebook, they've got to look at Instagram, they might miss something. And I think in many ways, technology, as well as making things easier, is actually making people more stressed and and more tense because they feel that they're missing things. So
I
that's
think
where
that is, yeah,
mm,
that is true. And, people, I think now there was a time when people were very excited about technology.
mm,
And now is the time when people are actually, and especially in the lockdown and COVID era, people are now going back to the basics. People are drawing, people are
mm,
sketching, people are, just even looking outside, going to a garden, going to, walking around. I think this COVID, obviously, if we look at the positive side of it, it has asked people to reflect upon physical things, what are with you at the moment, and be in the present moment.
yes, yes, absolutely. And I think that's where both poetry and art can play quite a big role in, say, helping people to take that step back from technology a little bit and immerse themselves in something that is relaxing, restful, or even if it's not relaxing necessarily, some of the poetry I've read is quite deep and powerful, but it takes them out of themselves. It it makes them be able to sort of leave the day-to-day stresses behind for a little while and give them a break from everything. I think that's very important, and if my paintings can do that even a little bit for people, then I'm happy. So
Now I'm sure. I was so my son, he is doing a stroke painting these days, and
mm,
he took your painting and on computer, he was trying to make it. And I was like, oh yeah, I can do it. I can do it. So, and I think he's also doing in his school, he's doing Van Gogh.
yeah,
So So obviously that's a big thing, but he's been assigned to do a digital format of Van Gogh, or take any painting and convert into in a Van Gogh style, you know.
Right. Yes.
So
Yeah. Yeah. And, I mean, think digital tools like that can be really fun and relaxing to use. I'm not saying that, computers are bad, because they're not. There's a lot of good there, but I think it's just the pressure on people, social media and things these days quite often. So,
that's true. Yeah, I think the younger generation, they will come out of it and they will make a good use of it.
mm,
We thought that the Facebook and other things, or even when the computer came, people will become lazy. People will stop going out.
mm,
But eventually, I think you have that time where like a honeymoon period, and
yeah.
then it wanes off, and then you say, now come back to reality.
Absolutely. And certainly over lockdown, I know a lot of people have started walking more and actually getting out in nature, as you said earlier. So, I think there have been hopefully a few little silver linings to COVID. Not many, but
Not
a few.
many, but yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully some. But I've had more painting time, so that's one good thing. But and you started writing poetry.
Exactly.
Um,
So I always look for what positive came out of whatever mishappenings I had in my life, and I had many. So I always look for what came out of it. So
yeah, yeah,
link
always
poetry for me.
a lesson to be learned or something to reflect back on, or whichever it is. It's we take something from everything we do, don't we?
Definitely.
So I'm going to finish on something quite light-hearted tonight,
Okay.
which is a limerick from a friend of mine. So I'm just going to read that for everybody, just for a little bit of a giggle. There was a young artist from Leeds who decided to paint using seeds. In less than an hour, her brush was in flower and her canvas was covered in weeds. So just a silly little one to finish our poetry on tonight. But
That's good.
it's been fascinating to discuss the poetry with you, Ritesh, and just different aspects and how it can be so beneficial to people, from your point of view, writing it, but also for other people reading it and, being able to, as I say, just lose themselves for a while in something that's no pressure, no rush to be anywhere or do anything or log on to anything. So yeah, I think. And do you have a website? I think you mentioned a website earlier.
Yeah, I do have a website and Facebook page, linkpoetry.com.
Okay.
And the Facebook page is Link Poetry, where I share Link Poetry. Um, I
Excellent.
am also writing a book which we are converting. So I was working on a Commonwealth poems. So
Mm,
I'm basically written a Link Poetry version of each Commonwealth nation's anthem of each Commonwealth nation.
wow.
Yeah,
Excellent. Well, if you want to put the links in the comments afterwards when I've got this posted, then please do,
I'll
so
do that.
people can find
Definitely.
you. So, but it's been absolutely fascinating talking with you, and I'm hoping that you're going to come back very soon to join me for another session.
It will be my honor to be back. And I keep looking at your one of the paintings. I'm going to order one of them. Not this one, because I've seen this much so much. I want to see a new one in my mind. So it's
Excellent.
lovely to be connected with you, Fiona.
Lovely, and we'll decide on another painting that we'll both write poems for, and see how they mesh together or not, as the case may be, for a different painting.
Definitely.
So that'll be good fun. So next week I have yet another fabulous artist joining me for more talk about poetry and painting. So I hope that everybody will be able to join me again for that, same time, same place, or catch us on the replay. Quick reminder just to see new paintings, get invitations to events. You can sign up to my VIP mailing list on my website to get my newsletter. That's www.fionahooper.com, or drop me a message and I'll send you a link or add you to the newsletter. So stay safe, everybody. Have a good week. See you next Wednesday for another Poetry of Painting session. So bye for now from myself and Ritesh. Thank you again, Ritesh. Lovely to have you on.
Thank you.
Take care now. Bye.